Morning, YouTubers. All right, let me know what the audio sounds like here. I remember last time I did it on my on the Go board, it was a little bit hot for the studio, so let me know about that. Otherwise, good morning, and if you're watching this as a rerun later on instead of the live version, you can skip ahead about 16 minutes before we're live on the radio. Until then, if you have any questions, we can make up some answers. Let's test your mic out here, Kevin. There's a slider on it there if you have to cough or whatever.
Oh, okay.
Just push up to go on. There you go.
All right. Can anybody hear me?
Well, I got to set your levels here, so tell a story.
Oh, what do you want to hear about?
You got to get really close to these mics.
Okay.
Yeah, they got to be right up on your
Right
mouth.
up like this.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, I don't know. I don't have any stories off the top of my head, I guess.
None? All right. All right.
Well, went
that'll
and looked
work
for
good.
fish yesterday and found some.
Why they? Well, we'll ask that here.
Yeah.
Morning, Karen from KOLY Mobridge. Appreciate you tuning in here and getting ready to go. How's the audio level there, Karen, on my microphone here? Let me know. Can't even see these.
I can see maybe the corner of my head just because it's it's the other side, the
Yeah.
glare off the sun.
Yeah, it is bright today. Good morning, Scott. You sound good. Sounds good on YouTube. Morning sounds good. All right, thank you guys for the audio updates. It's a little hard for me with this screen here, the way the sun's hitting it, for us to see any messages. So if you want to text me instead, that's a lot easier. All right, thank you. Appreciate that. Morning, Dave, Minnesota Dave. Appreciate it. All right, Brian, thank you. Yeah, just my number is 701 425 6651. That's 701 425 6651. A little easier since we can't see the comment side on my YouTube. Plus, I got to put the auto timer on here as well. And see what the stations are going. Oh, it's going to be a nice day today.
Yeah, it's supposed to be real warm, very little wind.
It's my kind of fishing.
It's going to
Somebody
be
else's
packed up
boat,
there.
somebody else's rods. I wonder if Jesse's listening, my partner for the Dakota Walleye Classic. He told me to learn as much as I can about crankbaits. That's why I'm asking you all those questions yesterday.
That's
Because
okay.
we've never done them.
Well, and crankbaits seem kind of like one of them baits that are really difficult to learn until you sit in the boat with somebody and they show you how, and then you're like, oh well, that wasn't really that difficult.
No, not at all.
But once until until you don't know, and it can be very intimidating because you got 1,000 different calculations to put in, and how do you come to that calculation? And when somebody tells you, it's like, oh well, that was actually pretty simple.
Yeah.
With lead core, how do you tell when you hit the bottom? Well, you let out enough line till till your bait taps once or twice, and then check where your string is and relation with some part of your reel, or it's where you can remember,
Right.
and then you just go a little bit up above that, and then you're in your window. And so it's really relatively easy. It's just learning it for the most part.
Yeah. 5 foot for every color.
Yep.
Ryan Pagel, good morning. Appreciate you tuning in this morning. Karen, audio's good. Thank you, Karen. I appreciate that as well.
And that 5 foot of drop is roughly at about 1.8 mile an hour.
Right.
Now you pick that up to 2, obviously it's going to be, it's going to be less. You're going to need to let out more line.
Right.
So, and that's just, a half a dozen times actually pulling them through the lake and losing a couple to snagging the bottom.
Yeah.
That's just the cost of learning crankbaits.
I got a whole bunch of them in the toolbox. I just don't ever pull them out.
Well,
that's the thing is, I think there's got to be more than just me that have that idea.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
you're not alone. A lot of people, buy them and they'll get a few. They'll hear, oh, the crankbait bite's hot, or the bite's
Yeah.
hot, on these cranks, and they'll go out and they'll buy a bunch of cranks, and they'll go out and they'll get the app or whatever, and they'll try it, and they don't catch nothing, and then all of a sudden they've got 10 boxes of crankbaits all
Yeah.
brand new that they've never used because they tried it once and it didn't work, and they got frustrated with it, and they had no faith in it. And I mean, honestly, to fish
Yeah.
a bait, you have to have faith in it for it to catch fish. I don't know how or why, but it
Faith.
seems, yeah.
You got to break out in that song. You got to have faith. All right, stations. I'll do a countdown here in about 3 minutes for your time wise and everything else. Again, if you're trying to text me on YouTube, just text me on my phone instead. 701-425-6651. Question, comments, concerns. Spicy V8, baby.
Yeah, that's a good breakfast.
Speaking of which, I smell somebody making breakfast.
Yeah.
Smells good. Yeah. Amazing what technology has done over the years. You talk about it in your boat, and they make this stuff even easier. I just like my old school mixer because I have different inputs for different things.
Okay.
And I can control the audio better than like podcast from your computer microphones. And I feel it's a little bit better. Plus, these microphones are pricey.
Yeah.
Not as pricey as my studio microphones, but
that's one thing. Technologically, I can sit down and look at a fish finder and figure it out for the most part. But God, any more phones and computers and all that stuff, they're just,
yeah.
I gotta have my kids help me.
Well, nothing wrong with that either. These damn things here. It's amazing what you can do with these things anymore.
Yeah.
I got all three of our vehicles on it. You can start them up, lock them, unlock them.
Oh, goodness.
Oh, we got the Shad Rap number 8 is my favorite crankbait colors, perch and crawdad. Huh. We'll get into that when we start the show.
Okay.
You can respond to that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a billion different crankbaits out there anymore too.
Well, got to keep you guys buying stuff. You keep losing shit in the water.
Well,
that's how it goes.
It is, and it's them pretty new colors. They're them fish have just never seen nothing like it, and they're gonna want to eat it.
Yeah, I wonder if they do any testing, like on an aquarium fish, or go to Bass Pro Shop and drag one in there.
I seen one the other day. A guy did I think it was a Facebook reel, and he said, "How I test my lures."
You put him up to the
and that bass turned around.
All right, stations 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock Central Time on the nose coming up. 7 o'clock on this side of the Beauty State, and that is on Mark. Hey, I will need your sound experience next. Let me know when you're available. Okay. Yeah. But there's still some old school stuff, like old school amplifiers and corded speakers that I like better for audio because you can just push them harder. And you don't need nearly as much electricity because all these new big PA speakers, each one needs its own electrical outlet. And then they're wireless and you can tap them into your phone and music. But I just don't think they sound as good.
Yeah.
Especially for like rodeo announcing. And I like the old school sound still better.
Yeah, there's some things that better, older still just better.
It is, yeah.
Technological advancements are great, but some things weren't broken and there wasn't a need to fix them.
Right. Yeah. That, and then we got to guys dressing like girls, boy. I tell you what, downtown Deadwood last night, I was like, what the hell is going on? All right. Oh, well.
Strange days.
All right. 4 minutes of showtime. Dating advice, and I don't know what else you can give. Everybody is back home making hay. I don't know where Joe Miller, he sent me a snap yesterday. I don't know where he's finding grass hay that looks that awesome. I can't find that anywhere. It's going to be a tight year.
Yeah, it's definitely been a wet year up here, that's for certain.
Yeah, it looks like it too. You guys, it looks really, really nice around here.
Yeah, I think we go up about once, twice a week. We get a couple shots of rain in the area, and it's really been playing heck on these fish and the water temps.
Especially as deep as you say they're going. I can't believe that. Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah, even on the river yesterday, they were out in 40 foot. They caught a limit of, what did he tell me? There were 4 of them in the boat. They caught their limit in an hour and a half in 40 foot of water with a jigging worm.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, that's about the bottom of Orman.
Yeah. And that's how, when I finally did see a few fish schooled up yesterday and something that I like to pull through, they were deep. They were 30 plus.
That's crazy.
Should have just looked a little deeper, but God, I just didn't think they would have moved up quite that fast.
Yeah, it surprises me.
But then, I don't know, it's like I said up there, it's just been a very, very weird year.
But you said, when you say the river, where you'll pier?
Actually between Pier and Chamberlain there.
Okay. Oh. Maybe they're changing their lifestyle. Maybe they identify as salmon.
Oh, good Lord. If that's the case, I'm going to start needing catfish to identify as walleye, especially in some tournaments.
Oh, man. Yeah. Well, I think some people just get it in their head. It's like, well, I've always caught them at this depth. That's the depth I'm going to go after them at, you know.
Well, and that's, a lot of people fish memory instead of fish.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, a guy can keep logs, and I do, but you use them as a reference. You can't.
Yeah.
And, even pre-fishing, all that really is an excuse to go out fishing, waste a little more money and get out of the house a couple days earlier because, you put together a little bit of a program, maybe find some fish here and there, but the day of the tournament, they're not where you left them.
Yeah.
Very seldom, it seems like.
You just fish like those guys did on the national circuit and put some lead weights in them.
Well, that's easier yet. Heck,
Holy
go
moly.
out the week before and fish all week and just take the ones you want.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, stand by here. 30 seconds to show time. We're going to go quiet here. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Saturday edition of Dakota Prairie Outdoors. I'm Scott Bachmeyer. Well, sitting next to me, if you're watching this on my YouTube channel, Dakota Prairie Outdoors Radio, Mr. Kevin Vaughn from Wild Walleye Outfitters here. Today is day 2 of us going and having a little fun fishing on Ormond Dam Lake. What do you call it?
The Belle Fourche Reservoir.
Belle Fourche
Ormond
Reservoir.
Dam.
Okay. Ormond Dam. You're hearing this on all great radio stations across the Dakota Territory: KGFX in Pierre, South Dakota, KOLY Mobridge, K-Fire 550 in Bismarck, Mandan, KCJB in the Minot area, and KLTC Dickinson on the western edge, and also around the world. If you're watching on the YouTube side of things, appreciate it, and thanks for subscribing today. Well, Kevin, yesterday we went on Ormond first time, and that's a nice body of water out there you guys have. It's a nice little fishing spot.
Yeah, it's a really nice, clean lake with the way they kind of keep that water flowing through there with the irrigation. It keeps that real pretty
Yeah, it
blue
does.
color.
Yeah.
Don't get real slimy. You don't get the algae build up on it. And the scenery is, I don't know, it's
It is
second
what
to
it is.
none as far as
Yeah.
I'm concerned. You get the prairie all around you, and then you got the hills in the background, and you can see, everything from sturgis to spearfish and clear out here to the ski hill.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's one of them lakes that, it's kind of a special place for me. I really love it. It's what I call kind of my home body of water. So
Well, you're based out of Sturgis,
yeah.
and you said you're so excited for the bike rally to get into town so you can work your boat around all this closed up streets and
yeah.
and what else? Corvette shows, Mustang shows, all kinds of
whatever they can figure out to put a rally behind the name, they'll host it.
Well, the interesting thing about South Dakota fishing versus what some places in North Dakota is, you really got to look at the rules on each place you fish in South Dakota. Each body of water has some different rules, and this is what we were talking slot limits yesterday. We could not keep anything between 15 and 18 inches, and we can only keep one over 18. Right?
Yep, that's correct.
On that body of water.
On that
so
body of water.
It was easy to get 17, 18-inch fish, which a lot of people would be like, hey, put them in the frying pan. Let's call it a day.
Yep.
We were having a hard time finding anything under 15, and the 20-inch plus was easy enough to find too, but makes it a little tougher for you
to pull limits
every
limits day.
Yeah.
And you've got to understand too, for the last 25 years with the slot limits, every little fish in that lake has been a target. And so for the last 25 years, from the time that fish has hatched out of that egg and gotten to that 15-inch mark, everybody's had a bullseye on its back.
Right.
Well, and then you take on top of that lake is severely overpopulated with 15 to 17 and 3/4 inch fish.
Yeah.
And it really stunts the growth of them walleye in that lake. They just have a hard time getting over that slot. And then, when they do, obviously there's a good class of them come through and it helps with the overs, but the unders, they've just been, and this has actually been a better year for unders for us up there. Well, we've been actually catching quite a few of them and some smaller ones, but they are finally taking steps to resolve this problem up there. And they're working on, they're going to change the slot limit. I was talking to one of the game fishing parks up there the other day, and they're going to actively start targeting them slot fish and get some of them removed out of there to help kind of help combat that stunt of growth and just get rid of some of the overpopulation.
So do you believe in slot limits? Because, South Dakota's got some what we call trophy lakes around the area, especially in the eastern side of the state. There's some places where you can get some dandies out there. There's no doubt, but you can do that in Devil's Lake. You can do it on Sakakawea. You can do it in North Dakota where they don't have the slot limits too. But there's people saying that they should be slot limits. What do you say after 20 some years of them having them? Do you think they work?
Personally, I think it should be more just a fish limit. Does it help keep bigger fish in the system? I don't know. Look at Montana's Fort Peck. They have a 6 fish limit and
no slots,
no size restriction. It's a 6 fish limit. and you can go up there and pull multiple fish over 30 inches out of
Really?
there, and they're just huge. There's a lot of big fish up in
Okay.
that fishery. And there, once again, you say Sacagawea up in North Dakota. What is it, a 5-fish limit with
Yep.
no size restrictions?
That's what I remember. Yeah.
And people pull, good fish out of there all the time in nice limits. Now,
the Dakota Walleye Classic tournament's coming up, and a buddy of mine and I fish that every year. And when you go to check in and see some of these guys that are dropping their 5 fish, I mean, there's some big boys up there, and they do that day in and day out on almost every tournament they go to.
Yeah.
And it seems like it works for them anyway.
Yep. And so, as far as size limits, I think a guy kills a lot more fish than he probably actually saves with them size limits.
Yeah.
I think it should be, 4 fish, no size limit, and kind of keep it,
Right.
these are the 4 fish we caught. We throw them in the live well, and then that way, if you do, say you're not fishing for meat one day, you're just catch and release.
Yeah.
And you do gut hook one, and it's a slot fish. Well, at least then you have the ability to take that fish home and clean it, and not just let it. I know and then everybody will tell you, well, everything out here's got to eat, but I would feel a lot better about putting it in my freezer, knowing it's getting eaten than the birds eating it, or whatever else eating it. And that's my personal feelings on it, though.
Well, yeah, I'd rather take it home than let it sit and go belly up out in the water.
Yeah.
So a question comes out. It says, "Good morning, Scott. This is Josh Patterson here. Question for you: what does it cost for a non-resident to fish South Dakota, and do you have to have a guide?" So I can tell you, it is it's a $25 a habitat fee that you have to have on top of I think it's like $31 or $32 for a 3-day non-resident fishing. So it's about $50-$60 for a 3-day. You can get a year one for, I believe it's like $116 or something like that. You do not have to have a guide.
Nope.
But I hired this guy because I have never fished down in this area ever. And so that's what it costs here. We'll get into that in the second part here, because I had a little issue with South Dakota Game Fish and the Go South Dakota app. It was not user friendly. Okay. And I'm sorry, Game and Fish, if you're listening. It was, for a non-resident, it was a little bit difficult, and it's still not organized. And when I called in for help, the guy that helped me had to go 3 times to his supervisor, and they couldn't figure it out. So we'll talk about that a little bit here after a little bit, but definitely you got to do it online. That's the only place you do it anymore. I think everything kind of went online. There might be some bait shops.
Yeah, I think you could still get it at a couple bait shops where they'll help you print them out or whatever, and they can do them on their computer. But yeah, I guess when I do it, it's all online. And when I have people come fishing, I have that little link that you can just click there, and it takes them to the website. So
you got to create an account and all that good stuff. But I was trying to link my accounts is what was very difficult.
A 1-day license you can purchase as well, and with that, you don't have to purchase the habitat stamp.
For the 1 day, you don't.
For the 1 day, you don't have to purchase the habitat stamp.
Okay.
And that, I believe, is like a $15 license. 15, don't quote me
or something, but we'll talk more about that coming up. Kevin Vaughn from Wild Walleye Outfitters is my guest, and we're going to be talking more fishing. Send in your text them to me, as my YouTube channel is a little bit tougher to get through today. Pfeiffer's Auction and Realty out of Bowman, North Dakota would like to invite you to the Len Sadler Memorial Classic Car Auction in conjunction with the Dakota Territory Car Club Car Show, Saturday, July 27th. Mustangs, Corvettes, a 1928 Graham Page, Mercury Cougar, REO Speedwagon, a 38 Chevy sedan, a 49 Hudson, and much, much more, including oil and gas memorabilia. Join Pfeiffer's Auction and Realty for the Len Sadler Memorial Car Auction in conjunction with the Dakota Territory Car Club Car Show, July 27th, Main Street, Bowman, North Dakota.
Agriculture is a community of hard work, passion, optimism for the future, and a commitment to the livestock and land. For over 80 years, Dakota Community Bank and Trust has been a leader in ag financing. Our local lending team knows the industry and the challenges, from droughts to winter blizzards. Stop by one of our branches today in your work boots or cowboy boots. You're always welcome.
Dakota Community Bank and Trust, that's what we do.
Equal housing lender.
Bowman Livestock Marketing, serving the tri-state area for all of your livestock marketing needs. Eastern Montana, North Dakota, and South Dakota. You can be sure of great care for your cattle and top price at sale time. Call Austin Snook at 307-290-2161. That's 307-290-2161 for more information or just to talk cattle markets. You can also find them on Facebook and go to their website, bowmanlivestockmarketing.com. This portion of the program is brought to you by Freedom Repair. Whether it's a tractor, baler, your cutter, your combine, or air seeder, Freedom Repair comes to you and helps you get fixed up and back in the field. 19 plus years experience. Give Lucas Kelly a call at 701-440-1945. That's 701-440-1945. Freedom Repair, veteran-owned and operated. MoPro Guide Service, the best on Lake Oahe. Brent and his staff will give you the most enjoyable fishing experience, always having the latest in electronics, gear, and the most comfortable Lund boat on the water. Fish with somebody who lives in Mobridge, South Dakota, the heart of Lake Oahe. If you need a place to stay, the Morest Motel has newly updated rooms with free internet, a family-owned and operated business. Go to OaheWalleyes.com. That's OAHE Walleyes.com for the best fishing experience Lake Oahe has to offer. Rockin' 7W has all the panels you need. Freestanding panels, windbreak panels, feeder panels, and the original protester panel. If you don't know what that is, it's a sort panel that makes sorting calves from a cow a breeze. You can custom order sizes to fit your current operation, or you can start from scratch. Rockin' 7W also does trailer repair on any size trailers, mobile welding, and custom cattle hauling. Call Justin at Rockin' 7W at 701-206-1030. That's 701-206-1030. Rockin' 7W, the farmer and rancher's go-to guy. Western Frontier Insurance, agents that understand you, your needs, and the community. Whether you're looking for coverage on your farm, ranch, home, or auto, you can trust that Western Frontier Insurance will find you a combination of price and coverage that works for you. No fancy jingles, no talking boxes or talking animals, just good neighbors helping to keep you covered with price in mind. Western Frontier Insurance. Offices in Hazen, Washburn, Wilton, Bowman, and Hettinger. Pfeiffer's Auction and Realty out of Bowman, North Dakota would like to invite you to the Len Sadler Memorial Classic Car Auction in conjunction with the Dakota Territory Car Club Car Show, Saturday, July 27th. Mustangs, Corvettes, a 1928 Graham Page, Mercury Cougar, REO Speedwagon, a 38 Chevy sedan, a 49 Hudson, and much, much more, including oil and gas memorabilia. Join Pfeiffer's Auction and Realty for the Len Sadler Memorial Car Auction in conjunction with the Dakota Territory Car Club Car Show, July 27th, Main Street, Bowman, North Dakota.
I'm Dale Paulke with Dakota Community Bank and Trust, the bank that puts community in its name. We're not just any bank. We're your trusted partner in lending. With a strong commitment to our local communities, we go above and beyond to support and uplift the areas we serve. From providing personalized lending solutions to supporting local businesses and organizations, Dakota Community Bank and Trust, where the community is at the heartbeat of everything we do. Equal housing lender.
On that road, but don't you worry, one day I'll settle down. And when that time comes, I hope you're still around. I hope you're still around. I hope you're still around.
Welcome back, everybody. It is Dakota Prairie Outdoors Saturday edition. Good to have you along here. You can hear my daily program on all of these radio stations, and I do appreciate it. Nearly 20 years, going on 2 decades already here. So Kevin Bond with Wild Walleye Outfitters is my guest in my remote studio. How do you like my remote studio sitting on the deck here in Lead, South Dakota?
Oh, it's definitely got a beautiful view, that's for certain. It's
If you like houses,
yeah, still
I like
pretty
my
up here.
view at the ranch a little bit better.
Well, yeah, still pretty up here though.
Yeah, we got the old gold mine back there. Now they're working on, what is it?
The Sanford Lab.
Yeah. They're working on trying to send data through the earth.
Yeah,
And
they've got pictures of it all, and
Yeah.
I've just never gone and looked, I
Well, that's
guess.
pretty crazy stuff anymore. Anyway, Well, let's go through some questions here. If you got questions, you can't. Please try not to do it on my YouTube channel because with the way the sun's hitting the screen, I can't read any of that anyway. It's all blacked out here for me. So if you have any questions or comments about fishing or slot limits or anything that we're discussing, please text it to me at 701-425-6651. Again, 701-425-6651. And we're talking in the first segment of the program, slot limits, and if you do catch one of those between on the lake that we're going to, 15 to 18 inches, we got to put them back. But if they are gut hooked, no matter what, you got to put them back.
Yeah, it's
Right,
an
so-
illegal fish to keep
So
in your
even
boat.
if it dies or anything,
Yep.
you got to stick it back in there. So the mayor Mobert says, "Let the birds eat the carp, walleye for people to eat only."
That's right.
Yeah. So
I mean, it only makes sense, but what's illegal is illegal, and I guess it don't have to make sense to us.
yeah. So okay, we got that question. All right, a few other questions coming in here. Wayne Moose says here, how deep is the lake, and is there a concern about releasing fish back that are taken out of 30 plus foot of water? Okay, that's a fair question. So a lot of people, we're going to be talking how deep some of these fish are.
Yep.
All right, we were fishing 25 to 30 feet yesterday, and if the deeper the fish are, when you start reeling them up, they're worried about that. I mean, I know that's big in Alaska. I mean, their eyes popped right out of their head, and some of them, those rockfish that we brought out. So,
Oh yeah.
is there a concern on that if you're going deep, like you said today? We're going 40, 45 feet
Yep.
because that's where they're at.
Yep. And there is a concern, and how you combat that concern is, obviously you have weights to fizz them, whatever. But the way we're doing it with lead core and the baits we're using, it's going to take us so long to reel them fish up that it's going to give them the chance to stabilize as they
Okay.
come up. What you really have to worry about is when you're kind of more vertical jigging or I guess, how would you want to say it?
Pulling
A
them
quicker
right, reeling them in
retrieve.
fast.
Yeah.
Okay.
You don't want to bring them fish up fast because it'll blow them out every time, and then you will kill them. But how we're doing it with the lead cord and so much line out there that it takes so long to bring them fish up that they level out. And I mean, our successful release rate's like 95 or better.
Good.
I ain't saying we don't kill a couple, but I mean, it's hard not to kill them when they totally engulf a crankbait and you can't even see the bill of it no more.
Right.
I mean, at certain points, I mean,
That's what just blows my mind about slot limits or the only one over so much. Like even when I'm fishing Mobridge, same thing. You can only keep one over 20 inches. And so if all you have left is, one person and they need one more fish and all you're catching is a 22, 23, and you're pulling them up and throwing them back in over and over and over, that to me doesn't seem ethical.
or responsible.
In my mind, I guess maybe, but if you're trying to get that trophy lake status, maybe that's, I don't know.
Yeah.
I have not understood the slot limit stuff. So,
and like I said, it's weird because every state you go to has different, whether they have them at all, or you go to Minnesota and it's like every part of every lake has its own little slot limit. Like, oh, you cross this weed line, they can only be this big. So it gets even more complicated once you get over towards that way.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and I guess they do them for a reason, and it's either worked for them or they continue to do it for whatever reason. But I mean, there's definitely arguments for both sides of the fence because, I mean, you definitely have great bodies of water like Sacagawea, Fort Peck, that have no slot limit. And then you also have great bodies of water like Oahe that have a limit. So, I mean, it's really just I don't know how you'd personal preference. I mean, you can definitely make a strong argument for both sides of the case.
If you do come to South Dakota fishing,
know the regulations.
Know the rule for each body of water.
Yep. Know exactly
absolutely.
what body of water you're fishing and know the regulations. And yeah, I mean, get a book and look up that body of water because it changes between not just slot limits, but possession limits can change as well.
Yeah.
So what might be a 4 fish limit on one lake You take Curlew, for example, which any of the South Dakota people listen will probably get a little chuckle out of the Curlew Lake, but it's only a 2 fish limit,
Okay.
so, and that's 1/15 or 1/20 and then 1/15 to 20. But each lake has different possession limits as
Right.
well. So yeah, definitely know the body of water you're fishing and know the regulations on it
Yeah.
because yeah,
And when in doubt, do like I do and hire a guide so they know the rules, and I can blame you and
exactly.
get picked up today. Yeah. So is it typical for, you said you got some buddies over on the fish on the river between Pierre and Chamberlain?
Yep.
That are also getting walleye in the 40-foot range.
Yep.
Is that just normal this year? I mean, why are they so deep? Usually they don't go that deep until it really gets hot out, and it really has not been that warm out.
It hasn't been warm at all. I just think these fish are mostly just confused. We've had earlier this year, we were 71, 72 degree water temperatures. Now here we are in July,
Yeah.
and yesterday we were fishing 67 degree water
Yeah.
temperatures again. So, and then it's just been a flux of good thunderstorms and constant rain, which thunder and lightning will spook them walleye, and it'll scatter them out deep.
Well, you've had plenty of thunder and lightning.
And that's one thing
Yeah.
we have not had a shortage of.
Yeah.
So, and even spawn this year, the lake was so full, they kind of shut running water down in there a little bit, and I think that had a lot to do with these
Yeah.
fish scattered out as much as they are, because they just usually after the spawn, a guy will get a big school starting feeding, and it's pretty obvious where they are, pretty evident, and we just never really had that this year. Them
Yeah.
fish, they've just kind of everything you might kind of think they would be doing or should be doing, like, fishing the windward side of points, where that wind should be blowing bait over and there should be holding fish. They're just not there this year. They're over on the protected side, just kind of
Just
sitting
hanging out,
Yeah,
yeah.
just hanging out. And
Do like
and-
we do. Get out of the wind.
yeah, and it's
Yeah.
weird. That shouldn't. And then and if it's calm, they're in shallower. But as soon as we get any kind of breeze or wind, they're right back out deep.
Yeah.
And so it's just been a really cold, weird back and forth year.
Well, and you like to pull crankbaits, and we'll talk a little bit more of this on the second side of everything here, but we'll cover all the lead core and all that good stuff on the second half of the program. So if anybody's got questions or comments about any of this here, please text it to me at 701-425-6651. Joining late, but how the Shade Hill part of the tournament go? If I recall correctly, it already happened.
Yes, that was last weekend, and I was a little late getting the results out. I was just so busy, but it went off excellent.
Good.
The second day, the wind blew like crazy, but the fishing was really good. We had some really big bags brought in the second day. Brad and Tom, they ended up catching almost a 6-pound fish, bringing a
Nice.
15-pound bag for the second day, and took the win on the tournament.
Good.
It was, like I said, a lot of nice fish, really, really good fishing. Really love that lake up there. It's
Shade Hill.
yeah, the campground is, I can't say enough.
Yeah, you were
about
talking
it.
about it. We'll cover that. We're coming up on a break here. Wild Walleye Outfitters here sitting with me. If you're watching it on the YouTube side of things, if you're listening to one of the great radio stations, I appreciate that too. Again, if you have questions, comments, concerns, feel free to text them into me. 701-425-6651. Broadcasting from Lead, South Dakota in the beautiful Black Hills. We'll be back after these messages. Pfeiffer's Auction and Realty out of Bowman, North Dakota would like to invite you to the Len Sadler Memorial Classic Car Auction in conjunction with the Dakota Territory Car Club Car Show, Saturday, July 27th. Mustangs, Corvettes, a 1928 Graham Page, Mercury Cougar, REO Speedwagon, a 38 Chevy sedan, a 49 Hudson, and much, much more, including oil and gas memorabilia. Join Pfeiffer's Auction and Realty for the Len Sadler Memorial Car Auction in conjunction with the Dakota Territory Car Club Car Show, July 27th, Main Street, Bowman, North Dakota.
Agriculture is a community of hard work, passion, optimism for the future, and a commitment to the livestock and land. For over 80 years, Dakota Community Bank and Trust has been a leader in ag financing. Our local lending team knows the industry and the challenges, from droughts to winter blizzards. Stop by one of our branches today in your work boots or cowboy boots. You're always welcome.
Dakota Community Bank and Trust, that's what we do.
Equal housing lender.
Bowman Livestock Marketing, serving the tri-state area for all of your livestock marketing needs. Eastern Montana, North Dakota, and South Dakota. You can be sure of great care for your cattle and top price at sale time. Call Austin Snook at 307-290-2161. That's 307-290-2161 for more information or just to talk cattle markets. You can also find them on Facebook and go to their website, bowmanlivestockmarketing.com. This portion of the program is brought to you by Freedom Repair. Whether it's a tractor, baler, your cutter, your combine, or air seeder, Freedom Repair comes to you and helps you get fixed up and back in the field. 19 plus years experience. Give Lucas Kelly a call at 701-440-1945. That's 701-440-1945. Freedom Repair, veteran owned and operated. MoPro Guide Service, the best on Lake Oahe. Brent and his staff will give you the most enjoyable fishing experience, always having the latest in electronics, gear, and the most comfortable Lund boat on the water. Fish with somebody who lives in Mobridge, South Dakota, the heart of Lake Oahe. If you need a place to stay, the Morest Motel has newly updated rooms with free internet, a family-owned and operated business. Go to OaheWalleyes.com. That's OAHE Walleyes.com for the best fishing experience Lake Oahe has to offer. Rockin' 7W has all the panels you need. Freestanding panels, windbreak panels, feeder panels, and the original protester panel. If you don't know what that is, it's a sort panel that makes sorting calves from a cow a breeze. You can custom order sizes to fit your current operation, or you can start from scratch. Rockin' 7W also does trailer repair on any size trailers, mobile welding, and custom cattle hauling. Call Justin at Rockin' 7W at 701-206-1030. That's 701-206-1030. Rockin' 7W, the farmer and rancher's go-to guy. Western Frontier Insurance, agents that understand you, your needs, and the community. Whether you're looking for coverage on your farm, ranch, home, or auto, you can trust that Western Frontier Insurance will find you a combination of price and coverage that works for you. No fancy jingles, no talking boxes or talking animals, just good neighbors helping to keep you covered with price in mind. Western Frontier Insurance. Offices in Hazen, Washburn, Wilton, Bowman, and Hettinger. Pfeiffer's Auction and Realty out of Bowman, North Dakota would like to invite you to the Len Sadler Memorial Classic Car Auction in conjunction with the Dakota Territory Car Club Car Show, Saturday, July 27th. Mustangs, Corvettes, a 1928 Graham Page, Mercury Cougar, REO Speedwagon, a 38 Chevy sedan, a 49 Hudson, and much, much more, including oil and gas memorabilia. Join Pfeiffer's Auction and Realty for the Len Sadler Memorial Car Auction in conjunction with the Dakota Territory Car Club Car Show, July 27th, Main Street, Bowman, North Dakota.
I'm Dale Paulke with Dakota Community Bank and Trust, the bank that puts community in its name. We're not just any bank. We're your trusted partner in lending. With a strong commitment to our local communities, we go above and beyond to support and uplift the areas we serve. From providing personalized lending solutions to supporting local businesses and organizations, Dakota Community Bank and Trust, where the community is at the heartbeat of everything we do.
Equal housing lender.
On that road, but don't you worry, one day I'll settle down. And when that time comes, I hope you're still around. I hope you're still around. I hope you're still around.
Welcome back, everybody. Saturday edition of Dakota Prairie Outdoors, all across the beautiful Dakota Territory here. Kevin Vaughn with Wild Walleye Outfitters is my guest here, as you're watching on the YouTube side of things. Appreciate you. Well, Kevin, here's a text from the mayor of Mobridge. He says, I'm still convinced that 95% of all fishing tackle is made to catch the fishermen and not the fish. How true is that?
Probably about 95%.
Yeah. Oh, I tell you. Well, we're going fishing again today, and you claim that the deeper is where we're going, and you like pulling lead core and crankbaits. What got you into that over pulling Lindy's?
Uh, it's just so much more effective.
It is? Yeah.
Usually, and you can do it year round. And you don't have to have live bait. You don't have
That's
to
true.
make the mess with the worms or the leeches or keep the minnows alive.
Yeah.
It's just as effective up there.
Yeah.
Used to be a huge believer in just pulling Lindy rigs, bottom bouncers, crawlers. 99% of what I used to do till about a couple years ago when somebody showed me just how effective crankbaits were and how to use them, and that
Yeah.
was my problem is I just never used them and I'd never used them effectively. And so I had a bunch of them. I just didn't have confidence in them. And I had, Lindy rigs, and I'd
Yeah.
seen them used over and over and over again with effectiveness. So that's what I stuck to until, it took me going out with somebody else and learning it and then, putting my own spin or whatever you want to call it on it and just getting the confidence to do it myself and then just going out and doing it. And now it's mostly what I prefer to do.
Yeah.
So
Well, and if it works, it's hard to say to change from it,
yeah,
right? I mean,
it is.
like we were discussing before we started the program on the radio side of things. What was the comment you said? People are not fishing the fish, going after the fish. They're fishing memories,
Yep.
or how did you say? Yeah,
Yeah,
this is the
you're
way
just-
we've always done it.
Yep. Yep. And
Yeah.
that's the mentality of a lot of it is, this is where we used to catch fish. This is how we've always caught fish. This is what we've always done. Well, just because that's what a guy's always done or that's how it's always been doesn't make it right or better, or not that there's a more effective way out there. You just have to be willing to learn the process of it, and hopefully be as lucky as I've been and have people willing to kind of show you and teach you these things, because none of us are born knowing this stuff. It's
Yeah.
a lot of this stuff that I know about fishing is because I've failed at it so many times that I finally figured out how to do it right.
That's how you learn, though.
Yeah.
Right? Question comes in. It says, "Does pulling cranks work without a kicker due to the speed you need?" Because there are some people, they don't have that kicker motor. All they have is probably their main motor and a trolling motor.
Yep. And my fishing partner Mikey on his Branger, 90% of the time we just run his trolling motor when we're pulling cranks, unless we get a pretty big wave like we had yesterday.
Right.
We'll kick that motor on just to help not burn up them batteries. But yeah, people do use just their trolling motor, their electric trolling motor up front. You can back troll them with a big motor if you do not have a front motor. You can also put a drift sock out and
Yeah.
use your big motor to help slow you down. Put a drift sock on either side of the front of your boat and then run them so that they're not going behind the boater where your second rod is out the back, and then just pull your 4 lines out the back of the boat, and that'll help you from getting tangled up. But that can slow you down significantly, and then you can just use your big motor.
So there are options on there.
There's
And yesterday we saw
plenty.
options. I mean, we saw people fishing out of sport boats, pontoons, all kinds of everything.
Yep.
Yeah.
As long as it floats, you can fish off it. I mean,
Yeah.
I watched a video on Facebook yesterday, 2 kids fishing off a lily pad, pulled in an 80-pound paddlefish. So so yeah, if it floats, you can fish off
Yeah.
of it.
And what do you think? 2 mile an hour's anything over that too fast?
And
So-
that's
So
another
So
thing.
why is it when you're using bottom bouncers, you're like at 0.8 to a mile an hour, and then you go to crankbaits, you go up to 1.8, 2 mile an hour? Why the difference?
Mostly you're fishing a slower finesse bite with them crawlers. You can get them up to 1.5 if them fish are real aggressive and
Mhm.
chasing. But usually you're fishing slower for them fish that are a little more lethargic. They're
Yeah.
not actively chasing, maybe they want a little bit longer to kind of look at that worm and eat it. As a crankbait bite is, you're moving that bait so it's got the wobble design, but it's also more of a reaction bite. They're seeing that bait come by and they want to know, either what is it,
Yeah.
or, and they're just reaching out and biting it out of more of a reaction than a hunger bite.
So talk about the hunger side of things. You said in this Orman, there was a ton of perch that were in there.
Yep.
Right. And has the food for these walleye been good throughout everybody you've talked to throughout the river system? And has it been a good year for it?
Yeah, it's actually been a really good year as far as bait going. We had a
Good.
real mild winter. So you take like Angostura down south by Hot Springs right now. And with the mild winter they had, they didn't kill the shad. So that lake is just full of
Does
shad.
that make it more difficult?
Makes it a lot
Yeah.
more, fish that are plumb full of shad aren't looking to feed as
Right.
much. They're not as hungry. And so a guy's really got to downsize his bait, like kind of what we've done to get these fish to go. And same thing with Orman, they're pulling all these perch out of Deerfield and putting them in Orman, and these fish are just gorging on them.
Yeah.
And so a lot of them, when you catch them, especially some of the bigger fish, you're pulling out, they're puking up 4 to 6 inch perch in the live well, 2 to 3 of them per fish. So they're full, they're fat, and they're
Yeah.
finally starting to look a little bit healthy.
That's good.
Yeah.
It's good to see that. Was there any winter kill in any of the South Dakota side of things?
There was Bear Butte winter killed this last winter. And it could have been prevented. That was a shame. That's some stuff going on with the city of Sturgis and the game fishing parks. But other than that, really nothing else. Everything else kind of seemed to do pretty good this winter. Like I said, real mild winter. The fish, our ice season didn't last real long. It's just been a really weird spring to boot to a mild winter. So
Question comes in, says, do you notice any parasites on the perch or at any of the lakes?
I have not been cleaning too many perch so far this year, but I have not noticed any parasites or bugs. The most we're noticing is these fish's mouths are just full of leeches. That's about
Is
it.
that right?
Yeah.
And a lot of people fish with leeches, so
Yep.
you know what they're feeding on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's gonna be a decent bait. So I'd say, if you're heading up to Orman, maybe stop by and grab some leeches before you hit the water.
So somebody I don't know if it was my mother-in-law asked yesterday, the size of Ormond, is it comparable to Shade Hill? About the same size? I don't know if you looked that up or not here.
I did not get a chance to look that up last night. I believe Orman is a little bit bigger than Shade Hill, but like I said, they're comparable to size. Same as Angostura. They're roughly all the 3 major reservoirs out west here in western South Dakota. So they're all of significant size. I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
But I don't know the exact. I can tell you that Orman's roughly 8,000 acres with just over 50 miles of shoreline. As far as the other 2 lakes go, I can't really tell you that.
Okay.
Not something I look up every day. I just get asked all the time guiding up at Orman. So obviously I have that one in the back pocket.
Tell us what Orman has for acres and
I say it's just over 8,000 acres, 50 miles of shoreline. And you can find everything from muskie, northern pike, walleye, white bass, smallmouth bass, largemouth bass. There's bluegill, crappie, perch, carp, catfish, trout. There's rainbow trout in Orman.
there's no tuna though. We saw that yesterday.
No tuna. We
You
were
said
fishing
you
for
were
one.
waiting for a bigger boat.
Yeah.
That's the only way to get one is if you sneak a tuna in there.
Well, you
somehow.
kept saying shark and
Barracuda.
So, barracuda. And I kept thinking, boy, we better get a bigger boat. We're going to start catching them.
Well,
no,
but it's
there's-
a nice place, and I don't know if it's very well known.
Well, and
right? I mean,
that's,
when people think let's go fishing in South Dakota, they go think of the Missouri River system, all the dams there.
Yep. Or they think of the Black Hills. They think of, fishing up in the
Pactola.
hills,
Yeah.
Pactola,
Yeah.
trout.
Yeah,
Western South
Fly
Dakota,
fishing and-
yep,
yeah.
isn't really a walleye fishing destination. And most people are fairly surprised to find out that, there's walleye out here that, or anybody that'll take them fishing out here. So
yeah. No, it's been good. How many years you been now doing the guiding service?
we're going on 6 years now.
6 years.
It's been an adventure, and I still love it just as much today as the first group I took out.
Yeah.
I still get that same excitement putting the boat on the water every morning, and yeah, I
It's going to
just
be a beautiful day today.
oh, it's gonna be absolutely
Little
beautiful.
light breeze coming up here.
Yep,
Get that
just
walleye chop that you say you want,
yep, just enough to keep a guy rocking.
and keep the bugs off.
Yep, that's the big thing up there is them bugs get to bugging a guy, and oof, it can get bad.
People listening in Alaska are like, you don't know what bad bugs are until you come up this way here. Text comes in, says, I was told 40 years ago that Shade Hill had 100 miles of shoreline. Not sure if that's true or not. So
Very well could be. I know it's got it's a compact lake, but it's got a lot of arms that stick out, a lot of little coves in and back and around there. So, I mean, it definitely could have a lot more shoreline Ormond, because Ormond's kind of just a giant bowl with not a lot of arms or any point structures like that to work off of. So
well, I get doing
Google?
everything's on the phone, right? It says max depth 62 feet, area of 7.3 square miles. Surface elevation is only, I'll see if I can find more about it here. But yeah, it's a nice little area up that way. We
It
got
is.
Ormond down this way, and of course, we got all across both North and South Dakota. I would say great fisheries altogether.
Yeah,
I mean,
100%.
Yeah,
I mean,
they
yeah,
do a nice job keeping them stocked and
yeah.
Yeah.
Facilities. I mean, even at the smaller lakes, I'll give
fish cleaning stations or
game
top
fishing
notch.
parks do a phenomenal job at keeping up on their fish cleaning stations, replacing what needs replaced, and at almost every state boat ramp, you'll find a fish cleaning station there with electricity and water so that you can clean your fish right there as soon
Yeah.
as you come off, and that's kind of them habitat stamps and stuff like that going to work for a guy.
Yep.
And where that money goes. So
He says the the walleye chop is just as big a myth as saying it's too nice out when you're going out hunting. I've absolutely crushed walleyes on calm water and rough water both. I know.
it's no myth.
It's no myth.
I'm not saying it's not possible. It's
Okay.
just a lot nicer when there is a walleye chop. them fish do get more aggressive, I believe, with that chop.
They do.
It stirs up that bottom, and they will definitely get more aggressive. Now, is it possible to catch fish on a nice day? Of course it is. It's fish are constantly feeding and roaming and feeding. It's just figuring out what they're feeding on at what times.
Well, I say we have some of the most educated listeners of any show out there right here. Okay, so here we go. Oren Lesmeister out of East River over there.
Okay.
He says has approximately 4,800 water surface acres, Shade Hill, 8,358 land acres, 65 miles of shoreline.
So it is just roughly bigger than
Just
Ormond
a
then.
little bigger than
Yeah.
Ormond. Yeah.
Okay.
So there you go. Thanks, Oren. Appreciate that. Thanks for listening out that way too. Oh, darn it. And what else here? Need a Keith Warren coat. Just shut up and fish. Don't worry about the walleye chop. Just go fish.
That's what it's all about. Even a crappy day on the water, still a better day than anywhere else.
Yeah. No, it's good that we have the opportunity in the Dakota Territory to do this and be able to cross lines. And I wish I could do that for mountain lion hunting down here. They won't let me do that.
They won't.
That's
oh,
resident. Yeah.
it's resident only.
Yeah.
Here. Oh, okay.
That's like the elk in North Dakota. That's resident only up there. So,
Okay.
but
Just
fish.
don't
That's
do
why
much
fishing is so much easier.
Yeah.
You can get a tag. You can
Yep.
go and have fun.
All you got to do is buy stickers to cross state lines. And
Yeah.
you can take your boat anywhere.
Well, and you said South Dakota does paddle fish a little different.
Yep.
You have to buy a tag,
Yep.
and that's coming up, I think, October-ish or someplace.
Yeah.
Not positive on that. I remember South Dakota is usually later in the year.
I want to say September,
September,
October, something
October,
like
okay.
that. I've never actually gone in South Dakota paddle fishing, so I've thought about it a few times. I've got some preference points built up, but just have not made the trip out to the mouth of the White or down there yet to get a tag and go do it.
It might be your year.
Maybe we'll see how busy I am. It just,
You're never too busy. It's
Well,
not like me. It's our paddlefish season starts when I start calving.
yeah, that's
Not conducive. Now we just say you can just move your calving date back
yeah.
or move it up.
Well, just calve a little later when it's a little nicer.
Yeah. Just what I need. Lighter calves when I sell this fall.
Well, then just feed them a little longer into next winter and burn up a little more of
Oh,
that hay.
I'm sorry. Oren corrected me. He's from West River, South Dakota. Sorry
Oh.
about that. But you're east of me, so that's what I'm. East. You're east of the Little Missouri River, is what I meant to say. Sorry about that, Oren. Anyway, well, I tell you what, people have questions. They want to come out here and fish. Maybe they're listening, going, "I never even knew Belle Fourche had the fishing place." How do they get in touch with Wild Walleye Outfitters?
You can go on Facebook, message us there. My phone number is 605-519-4286. Give me a call, leave me a message. I don't always, get to answer my phone right away, but I definitely try and give you a call back, and any questions or tips or anything really, I'm not afraid to tell you where the fish have kind of been biting or what I've been using. Like I said, a guy goes out and has to fish them fish different almost every day. So, I ain't afraid to help a person out. And like I said, it's all out there to try and just catch a fish anyway. So,
And we're entering at, was it Rock Point Recreation Area?
Rocky Point
Rocky
Recreation
Point.
Area. We're dropping off the boat there. And
Beautiful boat dock and everything.
very nice campground. Yep. And then all the rest of the lake, if you don't like the campground setting, there is, I guess, off-grid camping all around the lake with outhouses set up, and it's all semi-maintained, but it's all free camping. No, you don't have to. You don't have to buy the park passes or none of that. There is a free boat ramp out there off Gaydens Point. So there is options for the guys that don't want to go into the park and do that. They want to go out and just kind of pick a spot next to some trees and camp. And there's definitely plenty of options for that out at Ormond as well.
We seen that yesterday. It was surrounded by campers.
Yep. So,
fancy campers all the way to people in tents.
Yeah. There's motor homes and everything you can think of to a tent out there. So
no, it's good time. We're looking at getting out as soon as the show is done here.
Yep.
We're gonna head up that way and put a few hours in that way.
Yep. And it's gonna work out, I think, pretty good. A lot of the slot and smaller fish have kind of been more active. That's kind of been our better window for them in the morning, and our bigger fish have kind of come a little bit later in the afternoon.
You got the easiest crew here to take out, sleep in, relax.
It is
take
the
off
first
the
time
water early.
I've ever had somebody actively look away from a fishing pole getting a bite and tell me that's just a weed, it's not a fish.
Just to be clear, that wasn't me.
Oh, bless Dixie's heart. She really just didn't even want to reel a fish in.
But she got the second one of the day.
Well,
so,
yeah.
I mean, they were hitting, the ladies were hitting good yesterday.
Yeah,
so
they were both getting them tracked in.
All right. Well, Kevin, thank you so much. I appreciate you coming on the program. And thanks for everybody for tuning in to the fastest hour in radio here on Dakota Prairie Outdoors. Have yourself a great weekend. Remember, eat meat, drink milk, wear fur and wool, and enjoy the rest of your weekend. Thanks for listening today to Dakota Prairie Outdoors Saturday edition. All right, stations, thank you. Also, everybody on YouTube, sorry I can't stay in chat. We're going fishing.